Hey, so this is going to be an introduction on a set of tutorials on how to make a game using the Quake engine or how to make Quake mods. So I'm going back and recording this video after I've already recorded the first tutorial just because there's a bit of context you might need or might want. And so you'll have to forgive me for repeating myself a little bit. And my voice is a little rough because I'm sick, so bear with me. So if you're making games with the Quake engine, this is in certain ways the same as making a Quake mod. So the Quake engine is relatively bare. It doesn't really describe anything about the physics or the shooter or the shooting, like the first person shooting or the mechanics or the enemies or the maps or anything like that. It kind of just gives you the framework. And so because of that, it's very flexible. And to write a game on top of the Quake engine, you don't have to touch the Quake engine, which is what you'd expect. But if you wanted, you could follow this tutorial to a point where you're either making a mod for the base game, in which case you'd want to be working with the original Quake game files, which you can get just by buying the game. That should be accessible to you. Or you can, if you already own the game or you don't have any qualms about getting it in legally shady ways, you can find the game files on the internet. I wouldn't recommend that. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to be using an open source version of the game files, assuming that you want to make a standalone game, or if you know how to mod Quake, you're gonna understand how the information we're discussing is transferable. It is very transferable. If you're making a mod for base Quake, you're going to just be modifying maps or modifying the scripts that describe how enemies work and so on. So it's all going to be applicable. Now let's look really quickly about at the kind of descendancy and the family tree of the Quake engine. So in the late 90s, there was the original Quake engine, and you had a version of the Quake engine that spawned a bunch of descendants, I believe ultimately leading to you can see here, there's the kind of Valve engine, the Valve Gold Source engine, which led to Source 2. You can see there's games down here like Portal 2, Apex Legends, Titanfall, Team Fortress 2. So all these games are kind of descendants of Quake. And, if you go down this list, you'll see all of these kind of modern games you should recognize. You have Call of Duty. So these are all essentially built on the back of these very early versions of the Quake engine. And it's a very good engine. It's a very, I'd say it's a very simple engine. And the reason that we have, we have versions on the left here. This is what we're actually going to be working with. We're going to be using Quake Spasm, specifically Quake Spasm Spiked. The reason that we want these versions as opposed to these ones is that these versions of the engine are meant to run on computers that are much older than the ones that are relevant now. So we want this to run on modern computers. So all these descendants are essentially old. They're going to give us that very, kind of retro Quake look. They're not going to give us the look, but it's, they're from that era. They're going to look like they're from that era. The game data is going to look like it's from that era, but it's going to be able to run on modern systems. So that should give you a sense of what we're up to, and we're going to just go ahead and move into how to get started, what to install, and all that. So thanks for watching.